Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to the Age of Sigmar Stat Center on the 26th of July, 2021. Just me today, no Owen the Jackson. But there's been quite a few tournaments this weekend. A lot of event results. I'm just going to turn this fan off because I can hear it, and I don't want to trigger you guys. A lot of event results have just come in over the weekend. It's been fun. We've had some of our first major events, so that's a big, exciting time for everyone, and I can't wait to talk about it. Basically, it's a fun time. It's nice looking through the lists, is what it is. So hello everyone in the chat. If you guys have not watched this before, you're watching it on YouTube, let's say, or something. This is a podcast that you can listen to, and of course, it's also live on Twitch in front of the studio audience that is my mates. Basically, at this stage, we've been hanging out for nearly 500 days. So people like Jimmy Conius, who just subscribed, Nurgle Matthew, McLeod, Hams Fan, Colonel Cabbage, Rambo Squirrel, Math Mallow. Like at least 3 of those people have stayed at my house. It's wow, my friends. There's some Stormcast to talk about today, Bobbin. Bobbin's one of them. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. So, stats. No actual stats yet. We're still waiting to see whether or not we're going to crunch the numbers at the moment. I don't think one-day events really should be included in the stats, truthfully. They're kind of, like, they're not really where my focus is for stats. I think one-day events are probably one of the best formats for Warhammer. You could go, play for a day, play your 3 games. But if we want to get some kind of like true, these are beating these very consistently, I think you really need those games 4, 5s, and 6 if you are looking for them. But we have had one 5-round event over in America, so we are going to be talking about that. And events that happen to run their own specific, unique comp packs. They might be deciding to ban certain characters or whatever, or it might be something we don't include in the stats either, depending, of course. Do English people not have air conditioning? Any Brooks? No, we don't have. We can't fight neither rain nor flood nor storm nor snow. It's not really how it works there. So I hope the Twitch chat are well. Big love to you all. Thanks for being here. Nikos and Smorgs. Love both of you. Disco Magma. Hey. Not enough data points for true trend analysis. That's correct. Okay. That's what I mean. There aren't enough data points for true trend analysis. But you will get me talking about things that I've talked about since the game launched, and we've already had events. God characters, they're going to be something that's going to feature heavily. And of course, some of the lists that are really making sense as being top table lists at the moment. That's what we're going to see. All right, so let's talk about the event, shall we? Let me just get my notes. I did my notes myself today instead of Owen doing them, so they're going to be worse than normal. Owen will be back next week, I'm sure. Let's talk about some of the one-dayers, right? So there's a one-dayer over in Queensland. Big shout out, thank you to both T and also Simon sending this information. Held at Games Workshop Championship Store in Brisbane, Queensland. Kind of like Warhammer World for Australia. With some other words. These are all played on Realm of Battle boards. Oh no. Let's oh no that in the chat. That's a bit much. However, the lists. So those were 2,000 point lists. They played Feral First Blood, Feral Foray, and Tectonic Interference. And in first place at this one-day event was Tim McDivitt, and he took his Staunch Defenders Stormcast Eternals list. Now, I'm just going to read this out for you. I haven't put this on the website yet. I will be putting this on the website later. So if you guys have listened to this for the first time, if you go on thehonestwargamer.com, I'm going to be putting these lists on the website. Now, there's some really interesting stuff in here. Thank you, Tom Dix. Please do. Right, so he has Battle Mage, who's the general with the Master of Magic, and he's got Cinder Cloud. So he's a City Sigmar army, and he's Hammerhall. Okay, then he's got another Battle Mage. He's got the Lord Castellan. By the way, his Triumph is inspired, but specifically his grand strategy is prize sorcery, so keep any of his wizards alive. Probably something we should be tracking from this point onwards. He has an Anointed on Frostheart Phoenix. We talked about this on the show before, but he's got the Arcane Tome with Flaming Weapon. Such a good... But oh, no, wait, this isn't... Sorry. This is... That's the cities list. That's Simon's cities list. Whoo! Start again. The Stormcast list from Tim McDivitt in first place, well done, Tim, was a Lord Arcanum on Taurolon which is madness. Hasn't seen play since it was released. Can we talk about that? And then it had Staunch Defender, so that's going to be that +1 save. So he's doing that save stacking so nicely from the Lord Arcanum on Taurolon. And he's also got Lightning Blast, a Lord Vixella, a Knight Heralder, and he's got a Drakesworn Templar, which is 450 points for a monster that's going to do some really good work. Ability to do mortal wounds at range. Also, to pick units, models out of units is going to be so good. Save stacking with that is going to be crazy good. Sticking a Mystic Shield on it, using In Their Finest Hour, and then also, obviously, all-out defense. In addition to Staunch Defender, is such a clever play, so Tim really deserves the shout on that. Knight Heralder for run and charges, also blowing up scenery. He's got Lord Ordinator and the Lord Castellan. Now, the Lord Castellan, of course, also adding +1. Thanks, Tom Dix, for the link, by the way. Big love to you. I've just lost my list. Give me a second. The Lord Ordinator is going really well, obviously, with those Celestar Ballisters. So he's got 2 Celestar Ballisters for some shooting. Then he's got a pretty min battle line. He's got 3x5 Sequitors, and then he's got 5 Liberators. And like I said, he's got those 2 Ballisters as well. So he's got like some pretty good output when it comes to mortal wounds at range, but I think we're going to start to see lists like this a lot. Now, I didn't see Tim play or hear about how Tim played, but you're going to kind of ask yourself, well, how's he going to chew through a big brick of X, or how's he going to do Y? And actually, it's a lot more of a scalpel list. I bet he's able to achieve all of his battle tactics pretty much every turn. And then really what he has to do is ask himself, can he fight on a couple of the primary objectives to score himself max primaries over the course of the game? And I think very much so. Actually, one of the things that's most interesting about the lists that I've been looking at from these tournament results generally is they don't look necessarily like traditional lists. You don't have your big brick that does X and your other thing that does Y. In this situation, Tim's given himself a load of options to achieve battle tactics over the course of the 5 rounds. And that, I think, is what is how this list has done quite well at this particular event, right? The Drakesworn Templar is also going to be very survivable. And a lot of it's very survivable as well, other than against mortal wounds. And then he's got the Lord Arcanum to shut down some spells if he needs to. So it's a great little list, and I'll get it stuck up. And also, JP, of course, like I said, the ability for the Drakesworn Templar to buy out models out of units to break coherency is going to be very, very effective in this particular list as well. I mean, the Ballisters are going to be really key, I think, here as well. I think, being able to pick out, like, okay, right, at this point I'm gonna kill the battle line unit. Of course he can send in the Sequitors, or he can send in the Drakesworn Templar to hit something if that's what he wants to do at that point. But you could do Ferocious Advance, Aggressive Expansion, like a load of those before he ever has to hit something. And I think actually with Rain of Stars and the Ballisters, he can start picking at those characters at the back of the board to achieve those battle tactics, and I bet he's in a really good place there. So shout out to Tim in this particular one. And then in second place was Gary. He took his Petrifex OBR, so I'll just quickly shout out the list on that one, which was Nagash, Leech Cavalos, 2x5 Death Riders and 20 Mortek Guard, and he's got those 3 Necropolis Stalkers. If you go back and listen to the faction reaction about Ossiarch Bone Reapers, Owen was talking about how he thinks those Stalkers have got better and better, especially in Petrifex Elite, which is the sub-faction that was taken in this particular case, and I think you'll see them do really, really well in the future. Am I being cynical to suggest that Sequitors are going to change the new battle term? They seem great now. Yes, I think talking about any Stormcast Eternals list, I'm probably not even going to do a faction reaction on Stormcast Eternals or Uruk Warclans. Feels a bit pointless when the new battle term is around the corner in but moments. But great work there by Gary. I liked and then Cities of Sigmar, Simon's list, started to read this out a moment ago. He's got the Battle Mage, Lord Castellan, the Anointing on Frostheart Phoenix. He's got that flaming weapons because he's given himself the Universal Artifact, the Arcane Tome, which is such a smart play. The Hurricaneum and the Assassin with the Saint's Blade. Then he's got those 33 gold handgunners, and he's got the 15 Vindictors, which are the Stormcast units, which are really good. And he's got Chronomantic Cogs, so he's got 2 casts on every single wizard, and his that's given him loads of options. He's got the War Scroll spells, and he's also got their Chosen Law spells as well. So he's just got loads of good options there. So that was over in Queensland. Big shout out to that. Now over to Poland, the Titans event. We have, I don't know where exactly it was in Poland, but this was a Polish event that we had happen. And this is the Titans, another 16-person, one-day event. Nice little number, 16 people. Really big fan of that. Now, 2 people went 3-0. You had Sam Rayner and Alex Fawcett. Sam, let me just get Sam's list up a moment. Oh, is that right? No, I've got that wrong. Sorry. Fuck me. It's Monday morning. It's what it is. Let's start again, shall we? Our Polish event was called WARHAMMER. Yeah, that's what it was called. It was called WARHAMMER, and I'm an idiot, right? And in first place was Lucas, and in second place was Jakub, and they both went 3-0. And their lists were, Lucas's list was a Hos Arcanum, Archeon the Ever-Chosen list with Kairos Fateweaver and a Magister, 2 units of 10 Pink Horrors and 3 Screamers of Siege, and the Umbral Spell Portal. We've seen this list time and again. This is a 100% cookie cutter build list that you would take for Siege. Archeon, he's got Infusion Arcanum, so +1 to hit, +1 to wound. In their finest hour, all Mystic Shield on him is on a 2-up save. As soon as you use All Out Defense, he's on a 2-up save, ignoring round 1. You reroll on 6s. He's just a powerhouse of 830 points of raw output unless he faces Gotrek, which is why Gotrek should kind of be on there. Lortian, events tab not working on this Wargamer site. Okay, I'll try and sort that out, my friend, in the future. Then he's got Kairos Fateweaver with the Spell Portal, so just doing flat 6 mortal wounds at range at any point, shutting down charges, changing casting rolls, using Kairos' spell to just shut units down. Kairos, absolutely worth the 435 points. Really, he's 505 points because you always take the Umbral Spell Portal with him. Absolutely worth it. He didn't take Chronomantic Cogs for extra spell casting, which is really interesting. But then he's got those 2 units of 10 Pink Horrors. They're going to hold objectives really well. And then the Magister in as well, which is a great little piece, actually, for 125 points. So, yeah, a really good list. Shout out to Lucas. So, this is over in Poland. Jakub in second place. He took Fire Slayers in Hermdar. We already heard from Richie in the faction reaction that he thinks Fire Slayers are a really good place. Don't forget, in Age of Sigmar 2, they had a 60% win rate. So, I think that they're still pretty decent. Now, he had an Auric Runefather on Magmadroth and an Auric Runesmiter, and then a Battlesmith, which is kind of like fairly classic, I'm going to say. But then he threw Gotrek in there, Gotrek Gurnison. So he's lost, obviously, the potential and the need, I guess, to take the battalion that you would take in Hermdar previously, Lords of the Lodge. And then instead, he saved that. He's also saved the tax that you would take on the character to take Lords of the Lodge, and instead is throwing Gotrek in there as well. So he's like, it's pretty close. And then he's got 2 units of 10 Hearthguard Berserkers. Sorry, 3 units of 10 Hearthguard Berserkers, and then a unit of 10 Volkite Berserkers and 5 Auric Hearthguard. So again, like 3 units of 10 dudes, but actually they're 20 wounds apiece. They fight like monsters, and they're just really good. And then you got to fight Gotrek. Solid army, in my opinion. Like, very, very, very good. So that's Poland. Gotrek is such an auto-include. But then so is Archeon. So is Archeon in Tzeentch or Slaves to Darkness or Chaos generally. So is Marathi in Daughters of Cain. And so is Nagash in Petrifex or Soulblight Gravelords. Like, they're all available. Now, the event that just got linked to me a moment ago was the Titans event. This is another 16-man event. I just talked about it. Sam Rayner and Alex Fawcett went 3-0. Now, let me just get the lists for you. 1 second. So Sam was running Marathi. There we go, in Calibron. And then a Blood Rat Medusa, who's the general. And then also the Hag Queen on Cauldron. And then it was 3 times 5 Blood Sisters, 5 Blood Stalkers, and another 10 Blood Stalkers, all in the Battle Regiment. Yeah? So they just, like, you'll see a list or a list more like this in the future. Well done to Sam. Big love to you. And then Alex Fawcett was on a Soulblight Gravelords list. Now, this is cool. Like this. There's another list I'm going to shout out in a bit. This is just a link that's just been sent to me, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. But it's Soulblight Gravelords, Legion of Night with Prize Sorcery as the grand strategy, so keep one of those wizards alive. He's got double Necromancer, and he's got Manfred, of course. Of course. I think you're going to see that a lot, right? And then a Vampire Lord. Then he's got 40 zombies twice, 2 units of 10 Direwolves, and then the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone, and then 2 units of 5 Blood Knights, and it was a double battle regiment. Now, This is really good because Manfred's going to be so survivable, as are the Blood Knights, and then he's going to be able to pick his fights when he wants to. He's also got Amethystine Pinions, so he's going to be able to double his movement, not double his movement, but add to his movement, basically, and be all over the place. And then other than that, he's got a really nice core that can just do what it wants in those 240 Deadwalker zombies, and then those 210 direwolves, so he's got really nice board control. He's going to be able to kind of overwhelm center or mid objectives, and he's going to be able to use Manfred to go and just like punk a flank, push something off an objective, or generally be a threat. So it's just a really nice list, and I think stuff like this might be what you see when you don't see Nagash taken, right? Generally. Okay, so next on my list, let me just double check. It's been a pretty busy weekend, which has been quite nice. Is over. So this is our kind of big ticket event. So this is a Lone Star Open in Texas, right? 5 rounds and 56 players. So pretty big. Now, in first place was Matt Rubbish from the Austin Weird Knobs, whoop whoop, with his Daughters of Cain. I'll talk about the list in a minute. And then Zachary Kennedy also went 5-0 from Harambe's Heroes with a Nurgle list. So 2 people went 5-0 with Matt taking out the event and Zachary coming in second place. Now, some special shout outs before we look at the lists. There in going 4-1 with some pretty cool lists. Gavin Griegar with his Living City, and he had a Lariel in the Living City list. No Gotrek, a Lariel in there. Super fun list. TJ Sabbath with the Sons of Behemoth list in Taker Tribe, 4-1 on there. So that's really worth mentioning in my opinion. Chris Keich with his Soulbright Gravelords list, again not the same as the Soulbright Gravelords list we just looked at, and then No Aquino with his Hammers of Sigmar list, which was pretty cool, taking a bunch of Annihilators. He took MSU Annihilators in his list, which was really fun to look at. And again, I'll put all these lists up on the website, but that was a really fun one. Big shout out to Chris. David Smith, thanks for donating 5 gift subscriptions in the chat. That's fucking cool of you. Mega appreciate you. That's so fun. Love that. So big shout out and thank you so much. Yeah, that's cool of you. Thanks, Twitch chat. So yeah, big shout out there. Living City, Sons of Behemoth, Soulbright Gravelords, and Hammers of Sigmar all going 4-1. So again, this was in Texas at the Lone Star Open. Now let's talk about the people who did super well at the event. And I've written these lists up, and the links will be in the show notes if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching, listen to the podcast. And I've put the link in the chat for you guys already. So let's look at the Lone Star Open first placed. Oh no, I've put the wrong link in. Damn it. Let's look at the other list. So this is Matt Rubbish. This is who it is. I hope I've said that right. And if I haven't said that right, I'm sorry, bud. Yeah, loads of love to you. So this list here. Now, he's got a Daughters of Cain list, Hagnar, Hold the Line, Indomitable as his triumph, but Hold the Line is to keep a battle line unit alive. Now he's got a Blood Rat Medusa in Battle Regiment with a General. He's got the command trait Devoted Disciples and Laura Shadow's Mirror Dance. Now he's got Marathi Cain, of course, in the Battle Regiment as well. And then he's got those 15 Bloodstalkers, 2 units of 20 Witch Elves, and then 5 Life Takers and 5 Doomfire Warlocks, right? Now, the thing about this is, this is, I think, the cookie cutter list, pretty much for Daughters of Cain and maybe for all competitive Age of Sigmar. Like, so much so I'm going to make a video on it afterwards, after the Stats Center show. This is 100% top end Age of Sigmar going forward. Marathi, 100% one of the most difficult pieces to deal with in Age of Sigmar, if not the most difficult piece. I don't think it's Gotrek. I think it's Marathi. She just doesn't die, right? Or she doesn't die for a while, so you can't remove her synergy. And the synergy she provides, the most important synergy she provides, is the ability to make that unit of Bloodstalkers shoot twice. 510 points. They've got 2 shots each. That's 30 shots coming out of those Bloodstalkers. It's 3s and 3s. Any 6s are going to cause a mortal wound on 6s to hit. They've been reinforced twice. They're 510 points. And they're going to shoot basically 2 shots in each phase, so they're going to shoot 120 shots all the time. If you could just get your Archie emotes out in the chat, that would be good. So this is the emote in the chat if you've got it. Now there's versions of this where obviously you put Gotrek in as well, but like it doesn't matter. So a big shout out, by the way, to Matt for taking this list and smashing it. It's like he should be really proud of himself. But the 2 units of 20 Witch Elves, sometimes you see them moved around. Sometimes it's 2 units of 10. Maybe you see more Life Takers taken for trading games. Yeah, maybe you see the Doomfire Warlocks you rarely see. Maybe you'll see them more in the future. But like this is the list, in my opinion. If you were to ask me what I think the best list in Age of Sigmar 3 is right now, it's something like this. That's what I'm going to say. And so big shout out to Matt pushing this to the top. But you're going to have to expect to play this a lot in Age of Sigmar. So think around it. I think it beats almost everything if played well, is where I'm at. And if you don't agree with me, I'd love to hear why. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I want to hear, like, you could tweet me, you could leave some comments in the YouTube, you can make a fucking diss video. Yeah, let's diss track it, and we'll share mixtapes. It's going to be great. So yeah, I think that this one is very, very, very good. Basically, and Matt obviously proved it this weekend by going 5-0. So big shout out to Matt. Now Zachary flipped the script with his list. Flipped the script, right? So this is another 5-0 list. A Maggotkin of Nurgle list, 5-0. Now he's got a Harbinger of Decay, and this is my I love this. Straight away I love this. First piece of tech. His command trait is Master of Magic, yeah, and his artifact is the Arcane Tome, and his law, and he's got Blades of Putrefaction. Now, the thing that you need to do when you are playing Nurgle is you ask yourself, how do I get a mortal wizard? And the reason you ask yourselves that is, how do I get Blades of Putrefaction, which is mortals on 6s to hit, right? How do I get that, right? That's the question you ask yourself. And the problem is the mortal wizards that you find generally aren't great. Glotkin's a good example of one that's very, very good, right? But he's loads of points. The other ones are fairly squishy. So what you do is you take the Harbinger of Decay, which you take anyway because he's got fucking great command ability. Yeah, you're taking him anyway, and then you think, cool, I'll turn him into a wizard, and then I'll take Blades on him, and now let's kick ass. So fucking absolutely smart play there from Zachary. This is Zachary Kennedy, by the way, from Harambe's Heroes. Then he's got a Great and Clean one, and he's got the Doomsday Bell, so it's going to be that extra movement for all Nurgle units around him. And he's got the Endless Gift, so he's going to be, any damage he takes, he basically can heal it back a little bit. And so he's going to be very survivable. Then he's got Chaos Sorcerer Lord with Plague Squall, but I think he's specifically there to be given pluses to save. And then he's got a Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore with a Flaming Weapon. Now, I'm pretty certain when you Flaming Weapon, you can add the damage. You add 1 to the damage characteristic of everything. I don't know if it's been FAQ'd or if there's a raw interpretation where it's only the caster's weapon and not the whole model's weapons, or if you can choose it to be the mount's weapons. If you could choose it to be the mount's weapons, I think you can. Obviously, you've got loads of like pluses there. I think that's really good. Then he's got 3 lots of 10 Plague Bearers. They're his battle line. He's 3 Varangard in Hunt of the Heartland within Sorcerer Weapons. Now, those Varangard are going to be an absolute target for Blades of Putrefaction being cast on them. Then you got the 20 Chaos Sorcerer Lords. 20 Chaos Marauders, sorry. Not 20 Chaos Sorcerer Lords, that'd be great though. 5 Chaos Knights. And then this again, just a fucking really nice techie army from Zachary. He's got himself 2 units of 9 Untamed Beasts. Don't forget, you've got those pre-game moves. So he's stopping alphas, which I think is nice, especially against the Tzeentch Host Arcanum list. That's a nice kind of like piece of zone control if that's what he wants to do, because he probably can't push Archaon off. Really nice. And just trades very, very nicely. And what I mean by that is he can put 2 units on 2 different objectives, and he can just cap early. If he gets given the first turn, he scores big, can pin in, move those units further up, pin back, doesn't have to mess around, can battle tactics, I think at least 2 different things that I can think of straight off the bat by just having them in the army. And it means he's not really putting any of his precious pieces like the Varangard or the very squishy Chaos Marauders in the fight early. And instead, he's just making it so that he can get to where he needs to be. I just think that they're a really, really good piece. Like, really good piece. And you can see this. Like, he hasn't... There's no place where he's gone all in, right? Everything's just got, like, some play. right? Harbinger Decay is obviously smart, but the Great Unclean One, Chaos Sorcerer Lord and Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore. So the Lord on Manticore, the Varangard, the Marauders, and the Knights, they've all got play at different points on the tabletop. I would say that, I don't know if he played Gargants. Maybe he'd struggle to check against the Gargant DPS check. Maybe. I'm not sure, but it's really nice. And he's got to have played it super well because he's pushed that right to a 5-0. So Zachary Kennedy, big shout out to you as well. So just looked like it was great. So let me just double check. So Lone Star, we talked about that. We talked about the other lists. Gavin with his Living City, TJ with his Sons of Bahamut, Chris with his Soul Black Gravelords, and No with his Hammers of Sigmar. And that's it. I think that's all of the events. There was a 1,000-point event held in London by our with the lists aren't available via the thing in the chat, but you can find them on the wargamer.com. And the lists are the most recent ones. So if you search by most recent, I know we've got a bunch of older ones on there, but I've started putting all the newer ones up as we go through, if that helps you guys out. Yeah, so that's everything. There was also a 1,000-point event this weekend. Our man Colonel Cabbage ran it. It was just a little 1,000-point intro game somewhere in the world, and it was won by Hallow Heart. That's what it was. Alexander Theophanis won it with his Hallow Heart list. I think it was 1,000 points, wasn't it? Yeah, with a Hurricane, Anointed, Sorceress, 10 Phoenix Guard, 10 Phoenix Guard, and 10 Iron Drakes. Now, that's kind of fun. I really like... I think a little 1K event is super cool. But yeah, not really stuff we generally talk about on the Stats Center. Upcoming events, as well as obviously Honest Wargame events, you guys can attend whenever you like. There is 2 large-ish events this weekend. We have the London Open this Saturday, and we also have Mancunian Carnage. We might have more. I don't think we do. Let me just double check. To make sure this is a bit Owen does really well, and I don't do very well, but let me just go find out now. Don't think there's any other events this weekend coming up. And there's also the Lost and the Damned. There's also the Lost and the Damned this weekend as well in the UK. So I don't know if there are any other events around the world, but if there are, she'd let me know. That'd be fun. The week after that, I don't think there's anything... Oh, there's one in Australia. There's the 2D3 GT, although I'm not sure with COVID over there at the moment if that's going to have been closed down. So we'll find out, which is cool. My team event was won by a team with Sons, More Tribes and Legions of the Night, says Tarquin X. Okay, thanks, Tarquin X. Big love to you. Hi, Swallow Rurik. So that's it for today. That's all of the lists and the events. Takeaways for me are that I think that there's 2 ways to take Age of Sigmar 3 gaming at the moment, right? Let me just get them for you. Oh, of course, there was also the UCG Age of Sigmar Grand Tournament. Thanks, Marchetus. Of course, I forgot about that. So this was won by our man Adam Mumford. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So he went 3-0 this weekend with his Daughters of Cain list. I'm pretty certain it was Marathi, Bow Snakes, and Gotrek. So it was like the worst version of all Warhammer available. But Adam did some great work there. And then there's also Aaron Boyum with his OC Bone Reapers Petrifex Elite list. And unfortunately, unless I'm being mental, the link I've just been sent doesn't show lists. Also, please never screen cap lists and send them to me, because I hate you. If you don't send me the text version, I don't reply. That's what I'm going to say. Has anyone got any questions? Yeah, my quick roundup of kind of looking through everything at the moment and looking at some of the lists that do well. Number 1, it's super early in the edition. That's no disrespect, but I imagine not many people have got dozens of reps in. So I reckon some of these event results you can take with a pinch of salt. Like, like when you see people do really well with an army, maybe they've been playing a lot, that probably helps them move into doing the battle tactics and the primaries a lot more than anything else. So I would put a pin in some of these. I think it's early edition, there's a lot of tracking your scores, and having played in 4 tournaments now for Age of Sigmar 3 specifically, even you're still just really getting to grips with the rhythm of scoring the points. So something to be thought about. However, takeaway, I think there's 2 ways to approach Age of Sigmar 3 in the tournament setting. Two ways that I'm going to mention. Number one, you can go down the power list, score, like win big, because you're playing old dominant Warhammer, and that is your Marathi, your Marathi with your bow snakes, your Archeon in Tzeentch specifically, but just generally your Archeon anyway. Your Nagash, Soulblight Gravelords, or in Petrifex, and then your Gotrek. Now, it doesn't mean those are the only ways to play, because I think there's another version to play. I think those all create such good problems in the game that you're going to see those a lot. I think the other version for tournament play is a lot like the Nurgle list we saw, a lot like some of these other lists that you might see coming out, where really people are really focusing on what their list is going to do to score battle tactics, to score their grand strategy, and to score the primary. That's going to be the focus, almost to the point where they're not necessarily even engaging in some ways. Or they are, but they're engaging in piecemeal formats. The reason I say that those two versions of playing competitive Age of Sigmar right now are kind of they counter each other is because one of the lists, specifically, let's say Archeon in Hos Arcanum, is going to hit you and is making you engage. He's like, you've got to deal with this. And you're like, oh no, I really want to just like run these three guys, score these two objectives, and just punk that character. That's what I want to do to get my max battle tactics and primaries. So, some of them are really going to make you engage when you maybe want to engage more piecemeal and half. That's one side. The other side is just going to engage all day. So it's really interesting to see which of those two kind of styles rides to dominance. I think one of them is much easier and a little bit more punishing to play with and play against. The other is a little bit more of a knife edge, a little bit more finesse, a little bit harder to do, but is a little bit less obvious. Like when you're playing the Marathi bow snakes, kill the bow snakes, right? That's what you got to do. Easier said than done, but it's what you got to do, right? Get them out of the way. You're really reducing the output of the whole list. With some of those other lists, like, do I kill the 5 Chaos Knights? Like the 3 Varangard? Like, what is it that makes this list work together? And I think that's something interesting. The Nurgle list is what Warhammer is all about. Trying stuff with Gods of Warhammer, make it work way more interesting, says Juicy. I get that. Yeah, I agree. Old Man Tim, Parry G. Gallister, thanks for subscribing. Loads. I did smash a Khorne Archeon in one turn of combat with Frost Lords. Go on, Tarkonex, you got that. Hamsfan, I'm not going to fight you. My army will do this strange dance and outscore you. That's what I'm talking about, Hamsfan. I think that there are those two play styles. I think we're starting to see those emerge, right? You have people running towards the power lists, and you have other people working within their books, and we'll see which one rises to dominance. So that's my takeaway this week from looking at some of the event results. And if anyone has any other, whoa, shit me. Thank you, Hamsfan, for donating 10,000 bits to the Stat Center. That's fucking crazy. Dude, hype. Thanks, man. That's so nice of you. Thanks, Hams fan. I'm a Hams fan too. Thanks, buddy. That's lovely. Well, has anyone got any questions before I head out today on any of these lists or anything else? I'm thinking I'm going to do a list review show on some of the shows. Not later in the week. I'm just going to record them offline. I think that'll be really fun. Beats. Thanks, buddy. It's so nice of you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, any questions before we go? I feel like someone donating loads of bits. I can't just leave. That feels rude. So I'm super here for hanging out. I just wanted it to be concise and make loads of sense. And again, if you have any tournament results, just find a way to contact us. The Honest Wargamer Twitter, The Honest Wargamer Twitch, The Honest Wargamer Facebook page, whatever. If you need to email us, thehonestwargamer@gmail.com. Yeah? That's where you send those informations, yeah? Super easy. Just get to us, and we want to hear about it. I'd love to know what everyone in the world is doing and what they're up to. We don't know when the new FAQ will land. What am I going to spend my bits on? Maybe... This is so lame. Like some... oh god, what are they called? Not perspex, that's not the right word. Like when you make yourself a lunch and what are they called? Pyrex. Like a fucking Christ, I don't know what they're called. Systema, that's what they're called. That's the brand, Systema. I just want to make myself some packed lunches, so just eating more vegetables and stuff. I'm probably gonna spend it on that, which is pretty fucking embarrassing. Hi, Diadre, by the way. Is Sons looking like the best option for destruction, says Garou Games? I would say Sons of Behemoth is right up there, and 3-2-4-1 should be something that you could probably get out of a Sons of Behemoth army if you're pushing it like the highest you can go. So I think that they're a very viable army. It doesn't mean that they're the only viable army, but they're definitely a viable army. We don't know when the new FAQ will land. What old world army are you going to collect, says Just Nikos. I don't know what's coming out, if I'm honest. Not too bothered about. I think the bear stuff looks awesome, but I would be very interested if they did some demon stuff, and I think I'd be really interested if they did like an old Empire one, because probably old Empire or something like old Empire would be the one for me. Not been more much about Idoneth in these events. How do you think they're doing? I think Idoneth is still very viable. I think you can run a bunch of Idoneth lists. If you go back and listen to the faction reaction with Chris, he wrote some different Idoneth lists, loads of Reavers, which you don't see at all. But I think Turtle's still great, Eel's still great. Offensive or defensive eels, I think the whole thing is still really good. It's just not as face rolly as it was previously. You got to play it a little bit more. You can't just wait till turn 3, spam CP, go. You now have to wait till turn 3, spam 1 CP and go. So I still think you can do that. What is my favourite list so far for third? Like the one you love to play? Great question. Not sure at the moment. I think one of the ones, the problem is, like, BCP website, like, fucking Diffie and Garrett, if you're listening, just fucking live with it when I say this. I love you both. And I just want the TO, like, why can't I look at the lists on the website? Like, answer me that. Riddle me that. Because I want to look at them. So, from the Lone Star Open, like, the one I like to play is probably my horrors at the minute, although I am changing my list soon to a different list, so I don't think that really counts. But listen to Gavin's list. So Gavin Griegar. It's a cool list. It's a Living City list. It's super fun. Rune Lord, a Lariel, crazy, and a Knight of Zeros, right? And Lariel's got Cage of Thorns, by the way. Rune Lord makes the 30 Iron Drakes battle line. 2 units of 10, 1 10 Longbeards, 1 10 Freeguild Guard, 9 Shadow Stalkers, and a Tree Lord of all fucking things, and a Soul Screen Bridge. Now, the Tree Lord's really important in that list, and let me talk to you about why. Because, like, it plays very, like, defensive. But it's at the start of the combat, you pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of this model and roll a dice. On a 4+, that unit starts at the end of, fights at the end of the combat phase. So it's like got a strike last mechanic. So it's got, like, such anti-charge tech. If you charge the Iron Drakes, unleash hell. You charge anything else, unleash hell from the Iron Drakes, basically. Yeah? Counterpunch from Alarielle, and she can summon some Kurnoths. If she wanted to, she could summon another Tree Lord. I don't think she will. There's some good healing in there as well, because it's obviously Living City. So Alarielle can... And also using the command ability from the GHB, so you make it so you fight from the top bracket, is also massive on Alarielle as well. So she does all of those Wardroth Beetle hits and does that big 10 damage. Those Iron Drakes, though, are going to smash through some of those God characters, which is why I was talking to Richie on the Fireslayer show and saying that I think that there might be something in the shooters for Fireslayers. But those Iron Drakes are going to be brilliant. And I like that list. I think that's really fun. The Nurgle list that I looked at before is really great. I just don't get it enough. I would really like to speak to the guy that ran it and talk to him about it. Rob, what's your prediction for the winners of the 2 big British events coming this weekend? I honestly don't know. Like I said at the top of the show, Lee, I think there's so many people who this will be their first event that you'll bunny run 2 or 3 games. Easy peasy with people not having a fucking clue what's going on, in my opinion. They'll just be there for a laugh. And so, like, as much as it's, I guess, a big event, very much like the Lone Star Open, big shout out to everyone there. And I know, especially the guys in Texas have been getting the reps in because the Weird Knobs guys are based around there, but also the Texan guys have, like, their intercity, like, tournament, which is amazing. So they have this kind of, like, big rivalry where they do stuff. So, like they've got more reps in, but I still think it's such early days. I don't think people necessarily know how to even score properly at the moment. That's what I'm going to say. The topic for tonight is getting started in Age of Sigmar 3 with the boys. Robbie's starting to top my pyramid scheme. Thanks for the hype train, by the way. I think that they'll just reuse the old... okay, nice. Show tonight. Yeah, I haven't missed anything. The show tonight is going to be on Age of Sigmar 3, but also starting in Age of Sigmar. I know it sounds like a really easy one or a really simple one, but actually, I think there's a lot to talk about. A lot when it comes to resources. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm starting to get frustrated with the fact that the app isn't up to date or viable. Also, they put something on pre-order yesterday, and the War Scrolls for those are no longer free on the website. And so it becomes a bit like, okay, you're a tournament goer, or you're just a Warhammer player generally for Age of Sigmar 3. It's a good one for people. Like, what do you do? So we're going to talk about things like AOS reminders and War Scroll Builder and a bunch of other things, which some people just won't really know exist, which I think would be nice. And I think that would just be like good for everyone generally. Just kind of re-remind ourselves. So if anyone's got any ideas, just throw them in. No, a question. I was playing New World over the weekend and someone called Mike Oxlong. Perfect. I think it's going to take a good 6 months for the meta to settle, says Tarkonex, assuming that isn't a huge FAQ that changes the game fundamentally. Hey, not only that, Tarkonex, not only do we need time for the meta to settle, very good point, also, we've got 2 new battle tomes coming out. And one of the things that's going to be most interesting in Age of Sigmar 3 is we're currently playing like Compendium Warhammer is what I'd like to call it. So new edition, we can all play with our armies and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But are the Stormcast and the Warclans books going to be a power level above things that we've seen previously? If that's the case, because that happened in 40k and is happening in 40k. So with that being the case, so you've got 2 worlds. They're either pitched at the current power level of armies, and what's that going to be? Who knows? And then, if it's pitched to the level above, that means we've got to wait for other books to come out to catch up with those books. And is it going to be a continual upward trend? Or is each season just going to be defined by the latest book? And then... Or is it going to be like they're all pitched at an equal level? That's going to be the most interesting question, especially from a competitive sense. Are people going to be consistently chasing the meta because those new books provide so much that no one else has, right? Let's hope not. Let's hope there's some parity, but just something to think about. So talking about the meta settling is a great point, but also most important. So that's the general meta, like in power level of stuff. But I think right now, just developing the skill sets to play on the tabletop, most important thing that we could all do as a group. Yeah, what are my battle tactics? When do they work? Okay, how do I do these things? And just get it done. And I can't. Okay, let's hope Warclans are good. I really hope that doesn't happen. I don't want this to turn to 40k upward trend. Tarkonex, me too. You know that. Also, just a reminder for everyone listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, don't forget the Azir app. So Azir, so that's the Warhammer Age of Sigmar app. Azir is the 99p or whatever your local currency is that you pay to be able to use the War Scroll, the army list writing function. Don't forget, all of those things are out of date. Some of the War Scrolls aren't out of date yet, but all of those things are out of date, and they've said that they're going to be producing a new app. So that means they're charging you for an out-of-date thing that doesn't work anymore. You don't need it, so just don't forget to unsubscribe. I know it's only 99p and some of you won't give a shit, but you don't lose anything because you can't build army lists on it that are legal anymore anyway. So, just a reminder for everyone at home, save yourself 99p. And if you ever want to donate that to the Honest Wargamer, we have a Patreon and you could join us there. That would be great. So please do. Thanks. Right, everyone, thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to join us tonight, 7 p.m. for the Age of Sigmar Monday show, the Nathan Prescott Show. Oh, nice. Thanks, Cup. And join us there. That's going to be really fun. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back next week to talk about tournament results. So if you have any tournaments that you want to fire us for the results for, we'd love to know. And thanks for listening to the Honest Wargamer. It's been really cool talking to you. Have a nice day.